Greetings everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome once again to the Rennaroos channel. The owner of Firewall E-Waste Services. We do education and also buy e-waste and other components as well. I'll get into this board. So I started off on this board and forgot I really needed to shoot a video before I really got into processing it, but we'll start here. This is an aircraft board. Let me go backwards a little bit. So you get into your higher grade circuit e-waste boards when you start getting into telecom boards, and then you get into boards like this. They actually start getting a little bit higher value and can rapidly get more valuable depending upon the function, mainly the components and population, gold concentration. And I'm going to go ahead and put this above telecom grade, and I'll demonstrate why. This would actually probably fall just under or maybe right at telecom grade, considering had I not started depopulating this board with these transistors here, probably bipolar transistors. I'm not certain if these are voltage type or if they're RF or audio or something, but they're on a matter of fact the component the instrument I got it out of is a Collins receiver transmitter. This would have been for United Airlines. This is where it came out of. When I looked at the information, the writing on it, looks like the last time it was serviced was 1991. What actual aircraft this came out of, I'm not certain, but you can see this is the faceplate where you would have had some of the controls. Let's get back to the board. So the board's populated well, not heavily with IC chips, but you got some that are here in this area, and then we get into some crystal oscillators, and of course, once again, here's my transistors that I've have unpopulated from the board. And then I've got some shielding and aluminum bracketing and stuff on here. I'm also going to go ahead and take that off, considering it might actually devalue the board. I'm going to look up these capacitors. I believe them to possibly be Talantium type of capacitors, and they may or may not be okay to keep the board at a price, but if they seem to be deterrent, I will remove these. As you might be able to see, I don't know if this video is going to allow capture or not, but these crystal oscillators actually have some gold trim around them. And typically when you pull these off, they're going to be gold on the bottom, plated of course. There is a high value for those independently removed. I may or may not take those off the board. I've not decided yet. But I'm definitely going to get some of the shielding and bracketing off of these to bring my board up to a higher grade. You still see it's got some good gold pin sets. There's not a lot of IC chip population here. I went ahead and removed the ribbon cable from it just because it just turns into a lower grade board. There's a few other boards that came with this. It was difficult to get these, apart because they're just so intricate. They're built in layers. Once again, this one, I'm going to go ahead and just call this probably this one right here a high grade peripheral, just because there's not a lot there. Even looking at these crystal oscillators really quickly, I don't see any gold there, so I'm probably going to let that go for like a high grade peripheral as it sits. This board I'm still going to push probably right there just beyond telecom grade, high grade, because you've got, I believe those to be some kind of a coaxial audio or RF hookups. Once again, just really not going to trace this thing down. You got decent IC chip populations, Talantium capacitors. There's not much garbage here if I get this aluminum stuff off of here. It looks like we do have one crystal oscillator here that I'm seeing it does have some potential for gold recovery on it. Then the back of this is just straight up aluminum. And we're getting more into, a heat sink You know, kind of call this almost like a power board. And it's got some interesting components in it. Chokes, coils. There's some really amazing looking resistors actually I like on here. Once again, gold plated. I'm just going to go ahead and say audio jacks, you know, coaxial. See one right here. And just some really cool looking components. Looks like the board set itself is probably silver based. I don't know the percentage. We got some capacitors in here, Talantium most likely. And then you've got your heat sink. So this is going to have to come off right here to get a higher grade on it. You might get by with leaving this aluminum on here. I don't see that that's going to be a strong detraction, especially if you've got, like, the goal is to have a high yield amount of boards, like 50 pounds or excess, to start getting away with having to remove these, and they downgrade your boards. But there's also some gold right here. Isn't that interesting? I got one more board. This is the one that made me the most excited. Once again, it needs work, but very heavy on IC chip population. You can already see one right here. It's like at some point it got compromised. And I can't really, must have been dropped or something at some point. But once again, you've got a crystal oscillator. I believe that bracket that looks like it might be gold might more or less be a brass, but I'll probably go ahead and pull that from the board just for entertainment. We've got another larger one right here. Transistor on this board. Looks like a few chokes, but this, I'm definitely going to say that this is above a telecom board. I don't know the price to put on this. I'll get in contact with my vendor and see what they want to do with it. But not to film too much more of this piece of equipment, because the rest of it's just mainly like sheets of aluminum, bracketing or whatever. But here I got my ribbon cables and some power cables coming out of it. You know, I treat this kind of setup as almost like it's a back plane card. Of course, I'm going to want to get this bracket off of here. Sometimes with pin sets like this, you could have a gold plating, and they're actually a heavier gold plate. So it's really up to you if you want to remove them or not. I've gotten to the point that I really don't have a profit margin that makes sense to remove gold pins, but maybe you do. I don't discourage it. It's just for me personally, and it's not something that I do. But if you got any questions or comments on this particular setup or anything in general, you're welcome to send me a message. I try to check in on, you know, the comments section the best I can. Trying to get better at making my video productions. I know it seems very amateurish, but it is what it is. Point out one final fact, hopefully, here is these right here are gold plated as well, like some kind of a connection pins or whatever. Usually I'll take these, and since they're easy to get, I'll cut them about right in this region and put them like with my gold pin collection set that comes out of like components that come from about early 90s and on back are going to be your heavier gold plated. If anything, I hope I've shot you a good video, and see you guys soon enough. Peace out.